Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today I'd like to share with you this gorgeous card that I received in the mail from a lovely lady called Heather Potterton, and she lives just outside Glasgow. And we are both part of a Facebook group called The Joy of Sets, S-E-T-S. Have to be careful with that one. And the group have monthly challenges and swaps, and this month the swap was set by my lovely friend Hazel Ann of nuttyhazecrafts.blogspot.com, and the theme is pop-up thank you card. So this is the card, and it's clearly a thank you card. Love that embossing on there, and that paper's just so pretty. And here's the pop-up. So it is a, what do they call these? Pop, swing, twist and pop. That's it, twist and pop. Isn't it fabulous? Absolutely love it. So we've got the gorgeous Be Mine suite. Beautiful little bees on there. And I love that she's added a little bit of ribbon on here too. Isn't that just fabulous? Love it. I think I've pressed that too far. There we go. So yes, heatherpotterton.stampinup.net. Awesome. Right, so I have a card ready to go in the mail to Heather, and it is this one. We're not all called Heather in Scotland, by the way. It just seems a little bit strange to be talking about another Heather. So I've gone for using this absolutely stunning Perennial Lavender suite yet again. I just can't stop playing with it. I love it so much. So I'm using the designer series paper there. I've used both the painted, no, I didn't use painted lavender stamp set. I just used the dies on the inside. I've used Perennial postage stamps and dies, and I just backed it and gave it a little bit of an inking, and one of the little paper butterflies there, and a few extra bits of die cuts from painted lavender. And here's my pop-up element. So I have used more of the designer series paper on the background, another little stamp sentiment on the Perennial postage, and I've used lots of the painted lavender dies on this little pop-up planter, and I've got some brushed brass butterflies on there as well. And I used the painted texture embossing folder just to add a little bit more detail to the planter. So, but as you can see, there are two cross sections in there that allows it to fold nice and flat, but have lots of pieces popping out. So I hope that Heather likes this. I am going to make another one, and I won't take you through the full process, but basically you want a card base that is your standard tent fold card base. Okay, so whatever you normally use, just go ahead and make one of those, but we're going to turn it that way, and you need two pieces to layer up. So I'm going with that one on the outside. So for me, I am using centimeters, so I've got 29 centimeters by 10.5, scored and folded on the long side at 14.5, and then these layers are 10 by 14. So I have two of them, but I'm not going to use that. It's a bit too fussy. I'm going to go with that side. Okay, so that's going to go on the front there, and that one is going to go in there. I am using a piece of Very Vanilla for the inside, and another piece of the designer series paper, wrong way around. I want them to go like that. Okay, so this piece is, so in total, this is the same. It's just slightly, you know, it is the same as that, but I've just split it between the two. So this piece is 10 by 5.5 centimeters. Just double check that. Yeah, 5.5. So that means that this one will be 10 by 8.5. Okay, so it's going to look like a full layer would do, but you're just splitting it. Okay, then you will need a piece of crumb cake for the pop-up element. I am using centimetres again, so I've got 20 centimetres by 4 centimetres. If you're going with inches, I would go with 8 inches by 1.5 inches, and we want to score that in 4. So you could do it the cheats way and then just fold it that way as well. I'm going to score it properly. So using centimetres, I'm going to score this at 5, 10 and 15 centimetres. If you're using inches, it'll be 2, 4 and 6 inches on that. Then we need 2 little bits for the to attach all of the flowers to. Mine in centimetres are 10 centimetres by 1.5. And I'm going to score that at 2.5 and 7.5 centimetres. If you're using inches, I would go with 4 inches by 1/2 inch and score it at 1 and 3 inches. Okay, you'll get all of these measurements in my blog post. There's a list to that in the description below. So I'm also going to emboss this with painted texture. But as you can see, it doesn't all fit in at once, so I'll just run it through twice. So I'll emboss it like that, take it out, and then just pop that end in to emboss it. To be honest, these 2 ends don't really need to be embossed, but that's fine. It's not a problem. Okay, so let me just do all of that and I'll come back to you. Alright, so I now have just glued those pieces of designer series paper in there, and I've scored and embossed, that's the word, those. In my last one, I just added a little bit of crumb cake onto here. Let me just bring in a scrap, and it just shows the embossing up a little bit more. Okay, I had to remind myself how to do this, even though only I did it yesterday. So, these 2 pieces. One goes down like that. So just add some glue to that tab. And I like to leave a little gap from the top, but have it right up to that score line. Okay. And then this one goes on that side. Or you can do it the other way around. Doesn't really matter as long as you've got one either side. So again, a little bit of a gap at the bottom, like so. Okay, then fold that one over there and that one over there. So folding them flat. Glue on this piece here and on this piece here, like that, and then fold that at the halfway point straight over like that, and just gives that a press. Okay, let it adhere for a moment, and then you have your crossover there. Then you want to position this. So I am putting glue on this piece. And again, I am lining mine up with my Designer Series paper. And right up to the join. So right up to that score line, but along the Designer Series paper at the bottom. Then I can add glue to this piece and just bring that half of the card over, and again give it a good press. Ideally let it set before you play about with it, but there you go, we have our pop-up mechanism in there. Okay, now it's a case of decorating, and as I said, with my original one I just used the dies, so I didn't do any stamping on that. This time around I've got die cuts again, using Blackberry Bliss, Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape and Lost Lagoon card, but I have also this time done some stamping. So these ones are stamped with the Painted Lavender. So I've gone with Highland Heather, and then I've gone over the top with some Gorgeous Grape, and I've just stuck those onto die cuts for the stems. But for these ones I actually stamped the stems as well as stamping the little flowers. So that's one stamp, and you actually get two dies that will cut out those, so you can stamp quite a few and then you can cut out two sets of 4 at the same time. Okay, so it is simply a case of doing a little bit of flower arranging, and I stuck a few of the larger pieces actually to the back of my card piece to start off with, just so that you've got a little bit of the background to all your popping up bits. There we go, that'll do. Okay, so that's nice and easy, but then you want to arrange your pieces and glue the stems to these cross pieces here. Okay, so I will glue that to the back of that, but quite a lot of them I had to just trim them down a little bit so that they didn't poke out down the bottom there. Okay, so a little bit of glue, and I'm going to do it on the back of my die cut, just a little. Pop that in there, and I actually find it really helpful to have some of these tweezers that close, and that can hold that there for me until it dries. Okay, so I don't have to get my fingers in quite so awkwardly. Some of them much easier to do, so a little bit more. Just keep checking that your flowers are not going to poke out the top of the card when it's closed. Okay, so again, line that up and give it a little bit of pressure. That one might not fit in there, this one might, and just build up all of those flowers until you've got something that you're happy with. So as you see, I've got some that are glued to the back, and then all of these are just glued to those cross sections in there. Okay, So I've done my cross section slightly differently. I've got the top one going that way this time, and on that one it's on that way. But it really doesn't matter. It's just something to glue your little bits to. So I will do more of that, and then it will just be a case of doing a little bit of decoration. I will come back and show you the finished card, but we'll do the decoration in the meantime. So with this one, I can't thank you enough, because it had to be a thank you card. This time around, I am going to use, again from Perennial Postage, I'm going to sending love and best wishes, and then on the inside, you mean the world to me. So this time I've got Very Vanilla again, and I'm going to stamp them with Gorgeous Grape. I don't think I mentioned that was Highland Heather for my card base. One there. You mean the world to me. And then we've got the Perennial Postage dies. Okay, and I'll just find the best fit for these, and I think it might be that one, or maybe the next one up here. Next one up. Okay, so I am gonna just quickly die cut those two. Right, now we have those two ready. I'm going to add a little bit of ink to these. This one I added the ink around the outside. This time I'm going to do it slightly differently, and I'm going to put the die back in, sorry, the card back in the die, like so. And I can use a little bit of washi just to hold that in place. I'm going to bring that scrap piece back in. And I'm going to use Highland Heather, I think, or will I go soft? Let's go Fresh Freesia. Just a little bit lighter. Ink that up. And it's just adding a little bit of colour on the inside, but then protecting that edge so you've not got any ink on that. So that one is going to go on the inside of my card, on there. And I need the other one for the front, so I'm just going to do that again. There we go, that's the second one as well. Top tip, remember to clean off your die so you don't get pink ink all over your next project. Okay, so that's going to go on the front there with some more die cuts. So I'm going to continue building up that in there, and then I'll come back and we can finish off the final decoration. Right, so I have now finished doing my flower arranging on the inside. So as you can see, I've glued some to just the back of this, as well as some to each of the struts that we put in earlier. And one of them is perilously close to going over the edge, but it's fine. And glued that in there. Now, I have another little tip for you. Because some of these stems are really, really fine, narrow, it is highly likely that you will get glue all over the place like I have. Now I've kind of gone through and tried to rub off the glue that I can. It's tricky to get in there with an adhesive eraser. So what I'm going to do instead is use my embossing buddy and just kind of pop that in there and give it a little bit of a shake and hope that some of the powder comes out and sticks to anything that's still kind of tacky in there, because liquid glue that I'm using does dry clear, but it does stay tacky, and I don't really want the mechanism to get fouled up by things sticking to each other. So just give that as good as you can. A little dusting in there. I can see a shiny bit of glue, but I must have got it because it's not sticking, or it must just not be enough to stick. So that's my top tip. Right, so now we're ready just to decorate the front, and I used almost all of the die cut pieces I had already for the inside piece. I've got these 3 pieces that I'm just going to arrange. Something like that. And then I can put that on there, and I'm quite happy having those tails coming out. So I'll pop these down first. And again, just being really quite miserly with the glue. It's just enough to keep them there. But I do want to have a bit on the stem at the bottom, because as I say, that is going to poke out. Put this bit on next. There we go. Maybe a little bit more glue, Heather. Let's not be too miserly. We want it to stay there. Pop that there. And I'll put this one in between. Like that. And then I can pop that up with dimensionals. I forgot to get ready. Too many things going on with this card. And pop that on there. I stuck the other one straight down because it's going in the post. Although I suspect I'll have to pay extra postage for it anyway. That's a large letter. But that's fine. Some cards are definitely worth it. And the other one I popped on at an angle, but this one I'm going to just go straight with that so I can show off more of that paper on there. That's the reason I didn't put that one straight, is because I didn't want to cover up too much of the design. I used one of the paper butterflies for this, and I'm going to give you another little tip. Now, that was the one that I used. Can I use this one? Is it too big, perhaps? Maybe that one. think I'll stick to that one. So you can colour these as well. I don't know if I've got any residual ink on this. Just let me grab that fresh freesia again. I don't mind making a mess on my grid mat now because I've got glue bits on it. Just be gentle with those little antennae. So you don't want to tear them off. It's so easy to do. Ask me how I know. Okay, so we've got that a little bit more pink, which goes a bit better than the white, given that I've used vanilla on there. So again, a little bit of glue with this. My top tip is I'm just going to use this piece of card, put a little bit of glue on there and use it as a spreader so that I get some on those little antennae and my finger. Okay. And again with the usual tiny little dabs on the rest of it. Okay. And I'll pop that in there like that, and I'll get a little cloth and just make sure that is secured down and not squint with these antennae. Antennae? Don't know if that's the right word, but anyway, using a scrap of card as a glue spreader. Other of my little tips. Finally, I added some brushed brass butterflies and added them around about my little flowers with one. The larger ones at the side. Oops, got that upside down. Just pop it in there, like so. So we've got 3 in there. And you could add more bling onto that if you like. I think there's enough going on in this card. I do hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please click on that subscribe button so you see my next tutorials as well. But while you're here, why not check out some of my previous tutorials too? Thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, take care. Bye bye.